Okay guys, figured I'd change the angle a little bit. This might be a little bit better for you to see. So I have my 15 mag, a 12, 15, M1, and it is, or CM, sorry. So it is a curb mag, and I have my machine running right now at 5.5, and I have the needles barely hanging out. You can see how much they're sticking out right there. I hope. Okay, right there. Tiny bit. Now I'm going to try to not have the cartridge, the plastic part, rub on the fake skin. I'm still using my lining black, which if you do it extremely sparingly, you should be okay. Okay, well, so we have the accent lines in the fins that we can kind of start adding to. So I just add a little bit of A&D ointment on the area I'm going to start. And now when I do shading or color packing, I actually will wet the rag, because I'm not going to be going as deep, but I will be going over the skin area a few times. Like it's going to be better. So this one will be easier to wipe off. And see, I'm turning my machine at this 45-degree angle instead of straight on or slicing. So this will use all of the needles, and you feather them in. Okay, see, I told you multiple times, just be going over to kind of stipple it. There's not much there. Not much there at all. But as long as you keep it light and you want to pull it outward. Okay, this is why I do the A&D ointment. With the wet rag. So the wet rag helps pull the ointment off, and then it helps you get it to where you can pull the excess ink off a little bit easier. And now as long as you're going in the same direction with the machine, see, I spun it around. It's kind of being a pain right now. There we go. There. Okay. So see how light it is compared to the first part over here in the tight little corner? So I just did it extremely light and just feathered it in. I am not putting any pressure on it at all. I actually dropped the machine down to about a 65 to 75 degree angle, depending. Instead of being straight up like this, I am more at an angle. And I am just watching the needles, and I'm slightly touching the skin. I'm feathering it in. It's not supposed to go in near as deep as line work, so you don't want to cause too much trauma to the skin. Now I'm just gonna do the same thing, feather it in right here where the accent lines are. And you see a lot is going to be sitting on the surface of the skin, and that is why you feather it in and then you wipe and check and make sure. You don't just keep going, because the more you go, it could be the darker it'll turn out, or the more you're going to see that you are not getting it into the skin. And with the mag, if you're doing it and you just do the same area over and over and over again and not wipe and check, you could be overworking the skin if you're not putting enough pressure and the needle's just bouncing off, but the needles are sharp enough that they're tearing the skin. or you are gonna make it way too dark by putting in way too much and not checking it. So you wanna check the steps as you go. You do not want to push the boundary and just say, oh, I got it, I got it, I got it, until you are completely comfortable with yourself, your machine, everything. I even still second guess parts. And like I said, if this was on a hard surface, if this fake skin was on a hard surface, it would take the ink a lot better, a lot faster, and I don't want that. That's why I'm just lightly feathering it in these little areas. And with the mag, you can turn it and hit the smaller areas. And you can just do a light little feathering in and check the area. See, it's starting to kind of build up. I have my needles really short, so if it's not going enough, I can just tighten my fingers a little bit more. And see, it's already showing. And if you just want some kind of light, do small little circles. Small little circles. And you see, might not be as deep, might fall out, but it still accepted it. But you will know that as you go. Okay, so I know that that area, if it was on a real client, that part would actually fall out. Because it's so light, I just barely scrape the surface. So I'm just going back over and pulling in some of the shading. Now you can shade with a mag, you can shade with a 5 liner, you can shade with, honestly you can shade with anything. Using a round shader is hard because you have to have consistency with every single stroke. A mag works really well because you're working with more needles all in one go. So it goes in, it shades more smooth. It's a lot better of a result. And see, so I'm doing the underbelly of it. I kind of start in a little bit lighter and hit bigger areas. Because I don't want to go too dark too fast. And see, so I'm adding just a little bit more jelly ointment. It's dark. And this is when you can clean out your paper towel, make it nice and clean for you. Just re-wet it like that. That's sufficient, I think so. Okay, and then you just keep pushing forward. You just kind of feather it in and make it, shade it till you're happy, and then if there's some darker areas, like it feels like it's too even, then you can blend it all in. You can just darken up the darker areas such as like under the belly, under this rope. You can really darken that area up. And see, so under the mask, I have my mag turned at a hard angle because it's going to give me a nice little blend. It's not going to be the full mag shading, it's just going to be the side, and with it being curved, it will have a taper in itself. And so, see, I'm just, lightly color or getting the shading in under the mask area. Like I said, you don't want to go too crazy with it. We can darken it up later. You can always go darker, but you can never go lighter unless you let it heal and layer in with other colors, white. You can do a couple other things to help save that. But it's better to do it right the first time. It's better to go lighter than dark right off the bat. Okay, so now I'm gonna be I'm just bouncing around, looking at different areas that I can do. I can kind of feather in the bottom of this lip. And you can hear the machine. Meow, 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 meow. And that means that I'm just barely touching it, but it's going in enough that it's starting to shade. See, so I just did the bottom part of the lip, and underneath the actual lip is going to be darker. So then with an area that tight, I can go in with a round shader and get that area, do it nice and easy. So just adding a little bit of character to them. Then if it's not cleaning up right, add a little bit more ointment and the excess ink comes right off. See, you can just kind of do little tiny circles, but my machine is still angled at a good low angle. Okay, that was looking better. Looking better. Is it perfect? No. I also chose the wrong side of the skin to put this on, but I did it a couple days ago, so that's my bad. And then this is kind of like the introductory part of adding a little bit of shading. So with this one, with the mask being down, I'm just going to try and add a little bit of a drop shadow to where the rope goes into the mouth. See, it's kind of getting a little bit darker as we go. Okay, see, and now I'm just packing in the mouth a little bit. Since it is a little skinnier area, I'm just treading real softly. Just making sure that I'm getting it in the area and not going over. I can feather in part of the lip right here. And there is this horn coming out of the side. Let's see if it's... See, then once you get a feel for it, you'll know what areas to go into, how to angle your machine that will give you the best results the fastest. So as you just kind of get your hand warmed up and you learn your machine, that's why a lot of artists will have specific machines for different things, and they'll know exactly if they're out of tune, how to make them work, how to give them the result that they want. Whether that's coil machine, cartridge machine, a 4.2 stroke, 4.0, 3.5. I even have a 4.5, which is insane. Yeah, just trying to get this all packed in, feathered in nicely so that it'll have a little bit more character. And see, in these smaller areas, a 15 mag might be a little bit much. Right. Looking pretty. It's coming together. It's coming together. This is a small piece, tight area, tight scales, tight lines. I just want you guys to make sure that you have any answers to the questions you might be having. Okay, and then since this is a bigger area, then this is where I would use a bigger mag and just lightly feather it in, wipe and make sure it's good. Also, the shiny side, if you're using on the Reelskin, it's good, but I think it has a couple more complications than the flat side, the matte side. So obviously shiny is going to reflect some light. The matte side, it won't. You might see a little bit of light on it, but it won't have a shiny reflection like this one. So that's where I made the mistake. So, and then see, like I said, I got to make adjustments with the machine. So I am actually pushing it or pulling it towards me, and I'm doing it ever so lightly. Okay, see how there's, if you're trying to shovel it in, I can actually show you in just a second when I get done on the other side. I can show you that it is gonna leave a spotty line. Oh. Okay, so if you can see right here on this line that I just did, you can see the line marks. Oh boy, oh, I hope that one works. You can see the line marks of the needles. That's where I was doing the angle of it just a little bit off. So instead of coming this way and giving it a nice smooth blend, I was actually pushing it more this way. It was more of a shovel motion instead of a 45-degree angle, which, like I had told you, it's just not going to give you, it'll make it look more of a streaky feel to it. Okay. Also with the matte or the shiny side of the Reelskin, I have noticed that it can cut faster. And a way to tell if a fake skin is cut is you grab it and you pinch it up. So you'd pinch it up like that, and then you can actually roll it and see areas that you might have cut through. If you cut through, then you know something didn't go as planned. Fake skin will cut faster than real skin, but the possibility is still there. So, see, now we're just kind of feathering this in. Just that's what you do. Just kind of add your accent marks, add your shading, add your touch to it. You never want to do a cookie cutter design and have somebody else that did the credit. You want to add your own flair to it. This one is a cookie cutter design because I just wanted to show you guys how I would do this, but it's an instructional video for you guys, so I'm not too worried. I can actually make other designs for you that are my style, but see, this one you can go on to I believe Procreate, and they have this or some similar design in a brush set, of a koi brush set. So this one is out there. I had it, I saw it, figured it would look cool, especially to help you guys kind of understand how to do line work with areas such as scales, more curvy lines. It's easy to show somebody how to line a box, but it's harder to show somebody how to line for a koi fish or a rose, something like that. Well, the shiny side really isn't turning out too well. I'm not liking it. I'm just kind of rushing a little bit too. It's not. And see, if you start to sense that it's not giving you what you need, then that is when you would stop, take a break, go get some fresh air, walk around, just kind of take a breather, reevaluate where you're at. This gives your client a time to go get a drink, go to the bathroom, stretch, walk around themselves. Sometimes with something this small, they would say, "Oh no, man, I'm good." And you can just go walk around, grab a drink, do whatever you need to kind of calm yourself down, focus, get back to where you need to. Like if you're hot, you can make that adjustment. See, that's how much I'm pulling. So I end up tearing my dental bib, which it's all good. So now that we got it kind of cleaned up a little bit better, I'm just gonna blast through it again real quick, hit up some of the other areas that I might have missed, I might see that are different. So kind of like the face right here, it's a little bit lighter. It is all good. This is the part of practicing. If you can put your practice in, you'll understand the frustration of Reelskin, how you're tearing stuff, how you're learning your machine. I know my machine, and I just blah right now. So that's all good. So now I got the majority of the areas I wanted done. So I'm gonna switch it up now. I'm gonna put probably my 5-liner back in, and I will slow my machine down and do some more stipple shading. I have my needle coming out pretty good, still at 5.5 volts. I'm just gonna reapply some of the ointment onto here. Now, when you do stipple, it adds texture. So if you were to show directional, you could actually stipple in that direction. So if you wanted to shade kind of more over here, you could show kind of adds a little bit more of a directional for you. Directional flow adds a little bit more texture. And then also you can use it and shade in some of the tinier, small areas that you couldn't do with the mag. Hit up any lines that are not done that could use like you could still be adding in a little accent mark. You can kind of be filling in. This area. And see, you don't need a lot of pressure with this. I can actually just put a little accent line down the horn. So see, I'm running at a slower voltage, so it's not going to go into the skin near as quick. So I have to slow down my hand. See, and then same thing with this one. Nice and easy. And then see right here under the nose, I'm gonna add a little bit of accent lines with the stippling. And the stipple, you can turn it down a little bit if you wanted. And you can just pull it out. And in this way, you want to focus where your needle is at because you don't want to cross the line. And then you see, you just do it nice and light. Now it kind of shows that the shadows are coming out from under the nose right there. And then you can do the same over here in the ear. Like I said, this is all what you make it. This is see, so I kind of just shaded in the eyes a little bit. Coming over here. And see, I'm never stopping in one area unless I'm meaning to. I'm also going at a slower volt, so it's not going to be as dominant into the skin as if I were going a much higher voltage. See, and then just kind of, and this one you just let it go really light. The same thing with doing the shading, you just let it go quite light. You don't want to put much pressure. Just let the machine do the work. Just make sure that you hold your machine nice and steady. And I'm just kind of pecking at it just to get it in there a little bit better. See, so just lightly adding to it. See, it kind of has a nice little feel to it now. You can kind of start to see how it's a building block. So I would shade in, and then I kind of stipple, and then I can go back if I need a bigger area shaded in, like if this area over here just isn't enough. I can switch it back out to the mag, the curb mag, and have it work to fill in some of these open areas. Or you can do, this is a pendulum stipple. So you're making contact every time you pass. It goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. If you're stippling in one direction, then you would swipe, pick it up, move it back to the starting point, and then swipe. You see how I'm kind of playing with it right now, having it give me that texture. Swear I'd never use this many paper towels when I'm on Reelskin. It's funny, this fake skin doesn't have pores, but it sure holds on to the ink. Okay, see, so it's kind of taking form now. Okay, man, this is... I like stipple because it's a gentle way of getting your shading into the skin, and it's a nice gradual process. It's not as if you were to crank your machine up to a high voltage, do it with a big mag and just drive it in. It's just not going to be beneficial for you. Stippling is a nice slow way to gradually get it into the skin. Okay, see, that's nice and in there. It's getting in there nice and slow. Once you feel comfortable with it, then you can, kick your machine up. You can get going a lot faster. This is to show you, just to break it down and have it be to where you are doing it in a much more controlled instance. You're paying attention to the sound of your machine. The feeling, the hand speed, the results. If you want to try it, go really, really fast. Fake skin, you can push the boundaries. You can try things. If you don't want to start experimenting with somebody under your machine, that could potentially give you a bad reputation. So I would push the boundaries if you want. Let's kick this up a little bit. And you can have more needle hang. You can push. You can test them out. Test out the boundaries. Okay, now see, I'm actually pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna switch it back to the mag. 15 mag. Have to adjust it. Please excuse the animals. They're a little bit antsy right now. So, okay, now I'm just gonna focus on doing a blackout of the hair. This is for smaller area. So this one might go relatively quick, which is all good. And then so in this instance, you will have kind of more of a familiarity with having the contact going at a 45-degree angle, and you want to do really quite small circles and just light pressure, small area, don't stop, just keep going. Pile it into one area, stop, wipe, check it, it's not enough, and so you just do it nice and easy. You're kind of more just scratching it in at the same angle. It's kind of hard to tell with this carbon on there. So see if it's working, take it nice and slow. If it's not, you can adjust your machine if you need to. I do one more click out, and then I can add a little bit more pressure to make sure that it's getting in the depth that I need to, and getting in a little bit faster. Because if you just sit on here, that client is going to be quite tender. Lining goes deeper than color packing or shading. See, now I have this little area left. I should have done it when I did it before, but it's all good. Made that mistake. So you just get a bigger, like a shader out. So right now I'm using the 11 liner, and I don't have it in as deep. But you can actually line an area to make sure it's blacked out. Sometimes it is an easier approach than trying to make a mag work in such a small area. See, so I did the lips before, or the inner part of the mouth. I can just go through it and line it real quick. It's kind of a toss-up on what area you're going to do what with, until you kind of get more of an understanding of it. It's all a learning process, and like I said, trial and error. Test your limits, test your boundaries, test the machine. You wanna understand your machine. You wanna know what it can do, what it cannot do. Fake skin, like I said, fake skin won't get upset at you, whether it's your best friend or some random person. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so now we can kick it back up with the 11. I'm just gonna go in real quick and kind of fill in some of the scales. Now, you want to have what they call a skin break. where you don't pack in the entire scale. So you can do a hard line and separate that. And then you just line it in. And you do a zigzag formation. Wipe it. And you can actually see what they call holidays, which is open areas in the skin. Now, I'm just gonna do some areas, like some of the scales black. I don't want to do the entire thing because I kind of want to do a color to the fish down the road. So this is just to show you, do a hard line, and then in the darker area, just line it to fill that area in. So you see there's, as long as you have a skin break, about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, depending on the size, it will make your, it will give a negative space and it'll make your design look really good. It'll make it pop. If you just pack it full of color, pack it full of black, then you could make it to where it's too murky. Then it just can turn into a big blob and it's not going to look as good. So you just want to make sure that you have open areas, like I'm leaving the head as a skin break, the mask, open areas in the tail, the fins, and it will gives it character, gives it open area so that you can add in either color or you can do a little bit more shading. This bib is obviously completely gone. So I'm just gonna clean this up and then I can show you the final result of what we have so far. I plan to do some coloring on it as well. You can do, depending on what your client wants, black and gray. You can do more realism. You can do, this is obviously more of a koi fish with a, oh God, don't judge me. I'm not exactly sure on that, what that mask is, but like I said, this is not my design. This is somebody else's that I just had printed off, and I just wanted to do for you guys and show you. Let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully we can get that nice and colored in.